Okay, we're ready to move on, and we're going to go to step 3 now. And this looks like we're going to start the assembly for the base. And it shows you what to do for the power cord. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the pieces out. Alright, so it looks like this piece. And the base, I just seen it. Where'd it go? There it is. So, let's see, let's get this off the tree. You get these little rough parts when it comes off the tree, so what I'll do is I'll snip them. Okay, so we don't need anything on this. We'll put that to the side. And what I like to do is I'll take an emery board. Or a little file. Just to get the edges nice and smooth. See how let's see if the camera can pick that up. There, just like that. So it's nice and smooth. You'd never know what was on a parts tree. Okay, so it's going to go in that section. You can see. So what we're going to have to do before we glue it, to accommodate the power cord, it is necessary to slightly elevate the display base. Use a fine-tooth modeler saw or clippers to carefully cut 3 1/8 plugs from a section of spare runner and cement them to the bottom of the display base. Drill 1/8 diameter hole at the top of the lower display base and cement both halves of the display base together. Paint the assembly display base flat black. So you can see we're going to take some from the parts tree. And let's see. This looks like a nice big section. So, let me get my snips. And we're going to cut this section out. You can see, and what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 equal parts. So let's see if we can use this. Maybe we're going to need something bigger. Let's got my bigger ones. So first thing I'm going to do is make it flat. You can see. So we're going to make 4 of these. Let's get that out of here. And we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that they're all the same size. And make sure it's nice and flat. Now that one, this one needs to be a little, yeah, that's better. So we can trim a little off each one. I'm sure the reason that they're doing this is because the wire is going to go underneath. An alternative solution also is to just notch out an area where the wire is going to go. As you can see, that the power jack is going to go in here somewhere. But if we do it there and have it coming out the back, then we won't need the little feet. But we're going to do it just like the directions call for. Yeah. You can see where they're going to go. So they're going to go at the tip and the 2 areas and one over there. Alright, so I'm going to start by trying to use the Plastruck bonding. And we're going to put just a dab in the areas. Yeah, just like that. And what I'll do is I'll sand them down when they're dry. So the little feet are in place. So what we got to do now is we're going to do a 1/8 diameter hole. And that's where the wire is going to come up from. We're going to wait until these are dry. In the meantime, in the next step, step 4, as you can see, locate the pieces shown and carefully remove them from the trees. Paint the interior side of each piece flat black. This will prevent light leakage when the model is completed. So I'm going to vary from the instructions a little bit. I am going to paint the insides, but let me show you what I'm going to use. Instead of the black, I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum, the metallic finish. That way there'll be a nice reflective hue to the entire inside of the ship. So that's what I'm going to do for that. So why don't we move on? We'll do step 4 and I'll get everything off the trees and I'll start to smooth all the pieces out. Okay, we've got the primary hull. We've got the saucer pylon, or the dorsal part of the neck. We have the 2 sides, and we have the bottom of the secondary hull, and we've got the top of the secondary hull. And we've got both starboard and port nacelles. The saucer pylon, or the saucer, the primary hull, was not on a tree, so there are no real spots where we have to sand it down. So this is all set to go in paint. Set. And according to the instructions, what you got to do is they want you to construct the whole model and then paint it. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to paint it the section by section. I'm going to do the chrome on the inside, and then I'm going to paint the outside, and then do the detail painting, and then assemble the ship. Because not all the windows are going to be lit. So what I'm going to do is, all the windows that they call for being open or lit, I'm going to drill them, and then the rest I'm going to black out, and I'm going to make them look like the room lights are off. Just like, you know, the way it looks on screen. Anyway, let's take a look and see how the little feet are doing. So that's looking pretty good, so let's go ahead and see if it is level from just eyeballing it. And I'll tell you what, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty darn good to me. Okay, so now what we got to do is we have to drill a hole right in the center. So what I'm gonna do is right there. Just like that. And that should be enough for the wires to pass through. Okay, so that's done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this part of the base. I don't know if this is from a tree or if this is extra. Yeah, let's get that piece off, and then let's file it down just to make it look neat. Yeah, that looks better. Nice. And this piece right here is going to go just like that onto there. So I'm going to take the plastruct, the bondine, and I'm going to put a little bit on the base itself, and I'm going to put some along the edge. Then we're going to put it just like that. You want to make sure that it lines up. Just like that. Now it does have that line. And we'll see if we can take care of that with a little bit of putty. But that looks good. maybe put just a bit. Just a bit into the cracks. All right. And then I'll wipe off any excess. Just like that. And again, we can use the putty in order to fill in those areas. And that should make it look perfect, ready to paint. Okay, so that's all set. And I don't think we're going to need the Plastruct Bondine anymore, so we can put that to the side. Now the instructions call for painting this flat black. Now I want to follow the instructions, but you know, when it comes to Star Trek The Next Generation, you know, their communicator badges, I just love the way they look, and that's kind of what it looks like. And I'm a very big fan of the gold and the silver. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the oval gold. And I think we're going to do the Delta logo or insignia silver. I think that'll look better. That's just my opinion. And first we got to wait for this to dry. And then what we'll do is we'll use some putty on that area just to make it less noticeable. And let me show you what I plan to use. I think I'm going to use the paint gun. I would brush it on, but it's probably not going to come out as good as the airbrush. So we're going to use Testors Gold for the oval section. And what I'm going to want to do is use the silver for the Delta insignia. I think that'll look better. So let's wait for this to dry, and we're going to take all this outside and we're going to paint the inside of the ship. Okay, so I got them all set. I got them on a paper and I got them outside, and what I'm going to do is we're going to give it a good spray. Let me show you guys what I'm going to use. We use the Rust-Oleum metallic finish. And what this is going to do is it's going to give a nice reflective surface to the inside. So I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Alright, so I gave it a good coat. Like I said, you don't have to go crazy and put 15 coats. So this is just one good coat. Alright, that's better. I had missed these two pieces of the dorsal hull. So, we got that nice reflective coating on it, and it should reflect nicely for the lights. Now they had said to paint the inside flat black, and you know, they didn't say anything. I know they gave the reflective strip, but when it's flat black, black tends to absorb light. And if you're trying to light a ship, because you notice the plan for the light bulbs only has one bulb in the primary hull. So that if that's what's going to light the impulse engines, it's not going to be very bright. Anyway, we'll see that when we get to it, but this is what I wanted to do, so I think this will be better. So I used the Rust-Oleum, so we'll wait for this to dry, and in the meantime we'll go back to the base and putty it up. Okay, so for the base I like to use the plastic putty, perfect plastic putty. And what this is it's just going to fill in the little gaps where that line is. What's nice about that is you don't have to sand it. You can actually use water and a damp cloth and it'll smooth out. So what I want to do is get like a little spatula. You don't have to have a huge one. I'm going to use cardboard, and in this instance is a Duracell backing. Okay, so you get it as smooth as possible on the surface, and you make sure that the putty is on the inside of the crack. And the nice part is for the rest, I'm going to take a damp cloth or a paper towel with a little bit of water, and I'm going to be able to clear it off. You got those little cracks filled in pretty nicely, and because it's water soluble, you can pretty much wipe the excess away and make sure that you smooth it out, but keep the surface or the area that you want to contain the putty smooth. So you smooth it out with water, and we'll let this dry, and we'll be ready to paint. Like I said, I'm going to do the bottom part, I'm going to do gold, and I'm going to airbrush that gold, and I'm going to do silver for the top. And what I'm going to use, I'm going to use the airbrush, which will be enough. What I'm going to do now is going to test it. You guys can see I like a 50-50. So the cover goes on, and we're going to make sure that it's coming out evenly. You guys can see the gold start to come out. So it's ready to go ahead, and we can start doing the base. Smoother than it was. Don't worry about the drops. We can take care of that when we do the painting for the silver. But we're going to go ahead now and we're going to clean the paintbrush, or the airbrush. Okay, so the hardest part about using the airbrush is cleaning it out. And you got to do it right after you use it, just to make sure. So we got the nice gold. I'm happy with the way that came out. Looking pretty nice. And I think this is going to look a lot better than the flat black. And I did the feet, and I did the underneath. So what we got to do now is we have to go ahead and we have to wait for this to dry. And then we can mask it off and then do the silver part. Okay, so it's been about an hour. And you can see the effect is pretty cool. Exactly what I had wanted. You see the reflection. It feels dry, but it could be some areas are a little bit tacky. So I just want to make sure that it's absolutely bone dry before bringing them back in. So, you know what? I think I'll give it another hour just to be sure. Okay, so it had a little while to dry. You can see, nice and shiny. I don't know if I'm going to put a finish coat on it after, but for now, we can get ready to paint the Delta insignia. So we're going to mask off the gold sections. All right, so you can see that the gold section is masked off. And we're going to paint this section silver. And we're going to be using the tester silver. You can see it's all set. We got the silver coming out. You can see that's looking pretty good. Alright, so we got a little bit drier. So what I'm going to do now is I want to put another coat on. Just undo the fan. And be able to see the paint. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Put on the fan to get. And now we can empty out the gun. Put a little more of the putty into the crevice, but that's okay. I'll live with that. So when this is dry, we'll take off the tape, and no doubt the tape's going to have damaged the gold section, so we'll have to touch that up. Okay, so it's been a little while and I had a chance to set up, so let's take off the masking tape. Really gentle. And you can see it's already taken off some of the gold paint, so yeah, we're gonna have to touch it up. Alright, so moving on, what I did was I sanded it down a little bit to make it nice and smooth, because we're gonna have to touch up the gold area. So I'm going to mask off the silver part, and we're going to repaint the gold part. And again, you guys can learn from my mistakes, because I rushed it and I didn't give it a chance to set. So when I took the tape off, well, it was all kind of yucky. So I had to sand it down, and let's do it again. Okay, so we got the base and we got the gold color looking pretty good. You can see I think the silver and the gold look really nice. I think it was worth the extra little bit of effort. You can see how that looks. And part 4 in the instructions, the reflective paint had a chance to dry, and that's going to go inside of the ship. You can see it, it's very nice. This is the top, the bottom part. And you can see the top half of the primary hull. So that's all set to paint on the top. It's got a nice reflective sheen to it. So let me show you guys. We got some of the other parts that are all set to go. We have the dorsal fin, or the saucer pylon deck. We have the secondary hull. Nice and reflective. It's looking good. Let me show you guys. We got the nacelles. And like I said, guys, this is a lot easier than trying to mold fit the that reflective chrome sticker. I think this will do a better job. And we got the inner part, or the top of the secondary hull. And the other parts I want to show you guys. The inside the saucer pylon. I think that they came out pretty nice. And lastly, we have the other nacelle. So you can see that that looks pretty decent. So now the ship parts we're ready to paint the outsides. And I ended up getting a nice paint. I was looking for a paint to do the Enterprise, and I'm looking for that kind of like a gray with a duck egg blue hue into it, and I think I got something. So I'm waiting for that to come in the mail, and it's called Steel Blue, and then we'll be able to paint the outside of the ship, the base color. So all the parts are painted. Step 4. So let's see, we got step 4 complete with the base coat on the inside. We have step 3 complete with the display base, and we did the feet, we did drilled the hole, and you can see the finished product. So I'm thinking that that's going to look pretty good. And now we're all set to move on. Now we're ready to move on to step 5, and we'll be doing that very soon in the next video because we got to paint the outside of the ship. So my friends, thank you for watching, as usual, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.